It came to pass. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried. But you've actually been planted. Christine Kane? If you've read the Old Testament, you've probably come across the phrase, "it came to pass." It appears over and over again, whether it's mentioning the floodwaters covering the earth or God giving the promised land to the Israelites. Notice the phrase is not "it came to stay." The same goes for your spiritual valley. It will not be like this forever. It will pass. But until it does, we're in it. And what we do in the midst of it often determines the outcome. When we are in a season of feeling far from God, we need to look at how God is growing us and changing us. Here are a couple of byproducts of spiritual droughts. Increased empathy. Chances are you've spoken with a friend who has gone through their own struggle spiritually. Just hearing them share may have lightened your load and encouraged you to stay the course. And because of your own journey, you'll be able to do the same for someone else. It's important to share with others the things we've walked through so that they can be encouraged. Deeper intimacy. When difficulties come our way, we either run from God or to God. If we run from Him, we'll never know what He wanted to show us during this season. But, if we run to Him, we get to know Him better, love Him more deeply, and trust Him more wholeheartedly. If we never needed comfort, we wouldn't get to know the Comforter. We have to realize that we can't overcome any of this in our own strength. It's actually when we admit we are weak that we find His strength in abundance. We discover a new level of power in our lives. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is actually available to us at all times. While none of us look forward to these difficult times in our lives, there's so much spiritual growth on the other side. Maybe you lost your job or a relationship in your life, and it really impacted you. But once you are on the other side of this season, you'll be able to look back and see where God was working and how He was changing you. We want out of these spiritual dry spells so desperately, but maybe we should embrace them instead. We can look toward the future outcome of what God will do in and through us as we trust Him when we literally can't see our next step. Let's take it anyway. He will light the path the moment we lift our foot in faith. Reflect. In what ways has your challenging season helped you see the bigger picture God has in store? What step of faith do you need to take today that you're hesitant to take?
But when the Father sends the Advocate as my representative, that is, the Holy Spirit, He will teach you everything and will remind you of everything I have told you.
Each time He said, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses, and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong.
And it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to Him must believe that God exists, and that He rewards those who sincerely seek Him.